What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the FTN Bets World Cup Betting Preview. My name is Zach Graham, aka Kawaisenberg DFS, still with my good buddy Stefano Vaccarino. You find him on Twitter at Big Money Play. Steph, 3 groups to go. We are into Group F here in the betting preview. I mean, this is a tough group, and I think we have a lot to talk about here. You've got Belgium, Croatia, the 2 favorites in this group to advance. Then Morocco and Canada, which I think maybe both of us are split on which kind of lower seeded team we think is going to cause some ruckus here in the group. But to start off with Belgium, like one of the top teams in terms of odds to actually maybe win the whole thing. How do you feel about their chances coming out of the group? And I guess overall, how do you see Group F playing out?
Well, I think, is it a hot take to say this is the group of death? Because I don't think it is. I think every single team in this group is really good and can legitimately come out of this group to qualify for the knockout stage. The question with Belgium, right? I think rightfully so, they're the favorites. This is, you would say, the last major tournament for this golden generation of Belgium, right? And they've kind of disappointed in every single major tournament, and even like their third place finish in the last World Cup. You would argue that as a disappointment. Their goal was to win it, right? That was the year for Belgium to win it. They were the best team in the world. All of their players were in their prime. Everyone is now 4 years older, and they're still, like, Kevin De Bruyne is still in his prime. Mm-hmm. But that back three, they're older, right? Vertonghen is 36 years old. So that is Belgium's biggest weakness. And in the group that they got placed in, their slow back line is actually an issue because there is a lot of speed in this group, specifically with the Canadian side and the Moroccan side. They have speed on the edge. So while I think this group will challenge Belgium, I do think they are the favorites. I think they're rightfully so the favorites, and I do think they are going to win this group. I'll get into my prediction right now, and then we'll kind of talk about this entire group. Belgium, I have winning it. I have Morocco coming in second. I have Canada coming in third. And then maybe this is some American bias, but a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover for Croatia.
Okay.
See it in American football, right? Where if a team loses in the Super Bowl, they sometimes struggle the next year. I think this Croatian side is really good. Like, again, every single team in this group I think is really, really good. Croatia has arguably maybe the strongest midfield in the entire tournament with Modric, Kovacic, and Brozovic. But they're also kind of old. Like, they have like a young superstar center back, and then they're kind of just aging, and they don't really have a true striker. I think they're going to struggle in this group. And by struggle, I don't mean they're going to have 0 points. They're just going to get kind of blown out. But this is one of those groups where it's going to be like 3 points maybe is enough to advance, or 4. It's going to be like 4 points is probably going to be the number they need to get to. And all of these teams are capable of taking points away from each other. So I think it's a super, super tight group with Belgium and Morocco advancing. I know you want to talk about Canada because they are certainly really fun to talk about.
Yeah, so I'll talk some Canada here. And I guess just to reiterate your point, like we talked in Group B about maybe that's the group of death. Like this is certainly the other candidate, right? And I think probably top to bottom, there's a little bit more talent in Group B, but I think we might see more chaos here in Group F. Like Canada, I don't actually have them advancing, but out of the two, them and Morocco, I think they have the better chance to maybe snag that second spot out of Group F. And to me, it's going to come down to Alphonso Davies. Like he's going to play more of an attacking role for this national team than you're used to seeing him play for club. And they've got other, like, and again, maybe it's my MLS like bias that I have a little bit of a soft spot for guys like Marc-Anthony Kaye, Kamal Miller, who had a great season at CF Montreal. But like, this is not a one-man team. Like Alphonso Davies is probably the name that most casual soccer fans, certainly those who aren't fans of the Major League Soccer, like will recognize. But again, it's not a one-man team. And you talk about all the, household names, De Bruyne, Luka Modric for Croatia, like the favorites in this group. You mentioned the age of those guys and how they're getting up there. Canada's young, like they're youthful, they're quick, they're energetic. And like, despite what I think, like they maybe don't have a ton of support. Like, I don't think there's a bunch, like there's not just a rising tide of soccer fans in Canada leading up to this World Cup. But I think maybe we get a week or two in here and maybe people start talking about Canada. That being said, Steph, I do think that Belgium and Croatia are the two teams that advance out of this group, but give me Croatia. plus 200 is my favorite bet to actually win this group. And, you know, I think Croatia can come in and take down Belgium in that. I mean, that's the big game in this group, right? The battle of the veterans. And as long as those two teams don't slip up, and I think they're well aware of how dangerous Morocco and Canada can and will be, I do think the cream of the cream rises to the top, I guess, is for lack of a better term. Give me Croatia plus 200 to win the group, and I do think Belgium advances.
I like it. I mean, we're on different sides there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my pitch for Morocco, right?
Okay.
Athletically, right? This team has speed, and they're probably like just physically, like strength-wise, the strongest team in this group. They have Champions League experience everywhere. They have legitimate players, right, that have major roles for major clubs in the world. Like Hakimi has won Serie A and League One with PSG in back-to-back years. He's a massive, just important part of that PSG squad right now, which is one of the best teams in the world, right? You have Ziyech, who I would say hasn't been playing. He doesn't get a ton of games for Chelsea, but he's still one of the most creative players in the world. And certainly in international competition, this is someone who actually was exiled by the previous coach and is now back with the squad. And they have this. There's this momentum with Morocco because there was like a mutiny against their former coach. They get a new coach. They absolutely run through qualifying. They were clearly the best team in Africa. I don't think this team gets enough credit for how just like solid they are. Like they don't make mistakes, that is a really important trait to just kind of get out of the group stage, right? Just if you're able to keep you don't give up a lot of goals, right? Like the goal differential is okay. Able to steal a point or two away from, let's say they get a point from Belgium, a point from Croatia, and then they beat Canada. They're through. That's it. You know, it doesn't take much to kind of get through. So I'm putting my neck out a little bit for Morocco. I think they're one of the sleeper teams in this tournament. I don't think they're going to go on a huge run, but I think there's hedge opportunities to get maybe bet on them to qualify. That said, they're not. My best bet is Morocco to advance plus 250 on BetMGM. And another bet that I like, the opening round match is Morocco versus Croatia. I think both of these teams respect each other a lot. And I would bet draw at plus 230 on DraftKings for Morocco versus Croatia, where I don't think either side is going to jeopardize the rest of their tournament and really push to take 3 points in this opening match. I think we're going to see a very conservative game where it'll be like 1-1, 0-0. So I also like a draw for that opening round match, Morocco versus Croatia.
Man, I like that call. Like, I think that's the first. We're 6 groups in now. I think that's the first bet that we've given out that's for a specific game. So if you want to tail any of those bets or any of our other World Cup content, you can head over to ftnbets.com/World Cup. That's where all of our content is going to be. And if you're not a member at FTN Bets, you can go to ftnbets.com/free. So you can get a free 3-day trial. So, I mean, no strings attached there. Get some of that content. And you can use the FTN prop shop to either tail some of our bets, find the best odds across the industry, or if you have some bets of your own, and again, you're just out there odd shopping, FTN Prop Shop is the place to do it. So again, make sure ftnbets.com/World Cup, because we're going to be adding bets every single day. I mean, it's not like these are the only bets we're giving out all tournament. Just a little preview here. That's going to wrap up Group F for us. Still 2 groups to go, so stay tuned. The FTN Bets World Cup betting preview rolls on.